Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources and, well, we unpack the really fascinating details for you. Today, we're taking a plunge, maybe a deep one, into the world of professional dive watches, specifically the IWC Aquatimer Split-Minute Chronograph Ref 3723. This watch came out back in 2004, and it was quite something, a real piece of engineering that kind of changed things for serious divers. Now, for this deep dive, we're working from just one source, which is great because it lets us really focus, get into the nitty-gritty of what made this watch special. Our mission, to figure out the unique innovations, the practical brilliance, and, well, why this watch really cemented IWC's reputation as makers of high-performance tools. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start unpacking. The Aquatimer Split-Minute Chronograph Rev 3723. Launched 2004, the source highlights its big contribution, bringing a, quote, unique Rattrapante-style complication to professional divers. So maybe first things first. For listeners who aren't deep into watch talk, what exactly is this Rattrapante-style complication here, and why was it so special for divers specifically?
Right. Yeah, that's the absolute core of it. A traditional Rattrapante, or split seconds chrono, usually lets you time two separate things happening at once, like two runners in a race, using the seconds hand. But what IWC did here was, frankly, ingenious and very specific to diving. They patented a split-minute flyback hand. So imagine you have your main chronograph minute hand ticking along, measuring your total dive time, but then there's the second minute hand right on top of it. You can stop that hand independently, say, to time a specific decompression stop while the main chrono keeps running. Then, when you're done with that interval, you press another button and bam, it instantly flies back and rejoins the main minute counter, all without interrupting your overall dive timing.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just splitting seconds, it's splitting the minutes, which is much more relevant for dive stops, right?
Exactly. That's where it gets really practical, even critical, for a professional or technical diver. Think about managing a complex dive profile. Multiple depths, multiple mandatory decompression stops. Before this, you might be fumbling with a backup timer, maybe a dive computer plus a watch, trying to log times manually underwater. It adds complexity and stress. This watch let you seamlessly track your total bottom time and specific intermediate stages like deco stops all on one display. It massively simplified a safety-critical task, multi-stage timing, right on the wrist.
That sounds like a huge leap in, well, just practical utility underwater, a really smart application of a complication. And this split-minute hand wasn't the only way to time things on this watch, was it? The source mentions it offered like 3 distinct ways to measure elapsed time.
That's right. You had options depending on what you needed.
First, there was the internal unidirectional bezel, pretty standard for dive watches for setting your overall dive time limit.
Yep, the classic dive bezel function, essential backup.
Second, you had the main chronograph itself for timing longer events or just general elapsed time.
Right, using the central seconds hand in the subdials?
And third, of course, was that unique split-minute flyback hand we were just discussing for those intermediate timings.
Precisely.
And beyond those primary timing methods, it still had all the, standard chronograph features.
Oh, yeah, it was fully equipped. You had the central chronoseconds, a 30-minute counter up at 12 o'clock, a 12-hour counter down at 6, and the small running seconds over at 9 o'clock.
So a very complete timing tool.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating, as you said, is how IWC layered these functions. It wasn't just throwing features out the wall.
Yeah.
You had the bezel for safety limits, the main chrono for overall duration, and that split minute for crucial intermediate steps. It created this incredibly robust integrated system. It really provided unparalleled utility for pros. It showed IWC was thinking deeply about the actual workflow of a technical dive.
Okay, so that covers the clever timing functions. But what about the engine driving all this? What was actually inside the watch? The source says it was powered by the automatic IWC caliber 79470, and it makes a point of calling it a much modified Valjoux 7750. What does that tell us?
Yes. That's significant. The Valjoux 7750 is, well, it's legendary, a really robust and reliable chronograph movement used by many brands, but much modified is key here. IWC didn't just drop a standard 7750 in there. They took that solid base and really enhanced it for this specific demanding application. The caliber 79470 beat at 28,800 vibrations per hour. That's 4 hertz, which gives you that smoother sweep of the seconds hand and speaks to precision. It had a decent 44-hour power reserve. Crucially, it included hacking seconds.
Hacking seconds, that's where the seconds hand stops when you pull the crown out.
Exactly. Allows you to synchronize the watch precisely to a time signal. Important for coordinated activities. And interestingly, despite being hidden behind a solid caseback, the movement was adorned with Côte de Genève finishing those decorative stripes. It shows a level of commitment to quality and craftsmanship even on parts you wouldn't normally see in a tool watch like this.
So, modifying a reliable base like the 7750, that suggests IWC was focused on performance and refinement rather than maybe developing something entirely new from scratch.
Precisely. It shows their engineering skill in taking something proven and adapting it, elevating it to meet very specific professional standards. It's about smart, practical engineering for extreme use.
Speaking of extreme use, let's talk about the watch's exterior. How was it built to withstand the pressures, literally, of diving? The source mentions a 43.8 millimeter titanium case. That sounds pretty substantial, especially with a thickness of 16.3 millimeter.
It was a good size, yes, but using titanium was key. Titanium is significantly lighter than steel, but also very strong and corrosion resistant, especially against salt water, so it wears lighter than its size might suggest.
And water resistance.
Rated to 120 meters. Now, some might think that's not super high compared to some deep saturation savers today, but it was perfectly adequate for most professional diving, including the technical diving it was aimed at. And remember, the complication was the star here.
It also had IWC's mechanical external-internal rotating bezel with the safe dive system. How did that
Oh,
work?
that's quite clever. It combines the ease of an external bezel grip with the protection of an internal rotating ring. You turn the outer bezel, and it engages the inner dive scale ring via a clutch mechanism. But crucially, because of the way it's designed and ratcheted, the inner ring can only rotate counterclockwise, ensuring you can only accidentally reduce your apparent remaining dive time, never extend it. A vital safety feature.
Okay, smart. And what about actually seeing the time underwater? Clarity must be paramount.
Absolutely critical. That's why they use a convex sapphire crystal. Sapphire is very scratch resistant. And this one had an anti-reflective coating on both sides that minimizes glare and maximizes light transmission, giving you excellent clarity from almost any angle, even in murky water or bright surface conditions.
And the dial itself, designed for legibility.
Definitely. A classic black dial for maximum contrast. Very bold hands and hour markers. And they were coated generously with superluminova for low light visibility. And importantly, that split-minute hand, often tipped in a contrasting color like yellow or orange in different versions, was designed to be immediately recognizable so you could pick out that intermediate time reading instantly.
And wrapping it all up, it came on a titanium bracelet, right? Durable, hypoallergenic.
Yes, completing the lightweight, robust, and functional package.
So taking all these elements, the strong but light titanium, the secure bezel, the super clear crystal, the high contrast luminous dial, how did IWC make sure these all actually work together effectively for the person wearing it down there?
It really comes down to integration and purpose. Every single design choice you just listed wasn't made in isolation. They were all geared towards solving the real-world challenges faced by a diver. Reducing task load, improving safety, ensuring reliability under pressure. The watch functions as a cohesive system. Legibility, usability, durability, they all reinforce each other. It's clear this was designed with divers, or at least with a deep understanding of their needs.
So reflecting on this specific model, the Ref 3723, what was its lasting impact? How did it cement IWC's reputation in this space?
Well, it really delivered what you could call professional-grade utility in a way few watches had before. It powerfully cemented IWC's reputation for innovation within their Aquatimer line. They combined that unique, patented, diving-specific rattrapante, something nobody else had, with really solid, thoughtful case and usability engineering. It demonstrated that IWC wasn't just making dive watches, they were pushing the envelope, creating highly specialized instruments for demanding professionals. It became a sort of benchmark, I think, for integrating complex mechanics with real-world, extreme environment functionality.
Okay, so that wraps up our deep dive on the IWC Aquatimer Split-Minute Chronograph Ref 3723. A fascinating piece. It really seems like it wasn't just another watch, but a genuinely purpose-built tool that showcased some remarkable, focused innovation in a very demanding field. A real testament to engineering for a specific need.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. In today's world, brimming with advanced digital dive computers and gadgets, what does a highly specialized, purely mechanical tool like this IWC Aquatimer tell us? What does it say about the enduring value of precision mechanical engineering and focused innovation, especially when it comes to tools for critical, high-stakes applications where reliability is everything? Something to ponder on.